Hello, fan. I think Delilah's tragic ending may be one of those general hospital stories where the surface explanation feels almost too simple. Um, I feel like the more I sit with it, the more uncomfortable I become because, in my opinion, this does not feel like a clean medical tragedy. It seems to me that Delilah's death, her missing papers, the mysterious recorder, and Chase's growing involvement may all be pieces of a much darker puzzle. I could be wrong, but I think the most disturbing possibility is this. Delilah may not have simply died because of internal bleeding during a C-section. From my perspective, that explanation feels like the version someone wanted everyone to accept. This is just my interpretation, but I feel like the show may be hinting that Delilah's fate involves someone else's hand, someone who wanted her silenced before she could reveal something dangerous. I think the current situation is emotionally messy because Chase and Brooklyn are not just looking for answers from a distance. They are caring for Delilah's little girl, and in my opinion, that makes everything more personal. I feel like this baby is not just a symbol of tragedy. She may be the key to the entire mystery. Chase and Brooklyn seem to be trying to uncover the identity of the child's father, but I think the lack of clues feels suspicious. It seems to me that every missing detail around Delilah is pointing towards someone deliberately wiping her life clean. I keep coming back to the missing identification papers. In my opinion, that detail feels too strange to ignore. I feel like Delilah losing her papers right around the time Chase and Brooklyn saved her does not feel random. I could be wrong, but when someone arrives in a strange town, suffers a medical crisis, and somehow has important documents disappear, I immediately start wondering who benefited from that confusion. From my perspective, the recorder may be the biggest clue. I think Chase finding a recording device changes the emotional temperature of the story. It feels like Delilah may have known she was in danger. I feel like someone who carries a recorder or leaves behind recorded proof may have been trying to protect herself in the only way she could. In my opinion, that possibility makes Delilah's final moments even more heartbreaking because it suggests she may have been fighting to leave behind the truth. Emotionally, I feel angry about Delilah's story. I think there is something deeply cruel about a woman being reduced to a mystery after her death, especially when her baby is left behind in the middle of all this danger. In my opinion, Chase's need to investigate feels completely understandable. I feel like Brooklyn, too, may become more protective than ever because the child is no longer just someone they rescued. From my perspective, this little girl may already feel like family to them. When I look at Chase, I think this storyline could push him into one of his strongest emotional arcs. I feel like Chase is the kind of character who cannot let an injustice sit quietly. In my opinion, if he starts believing Delilah was harmed intentionally, he may become relentless. I could be wrong, but I feel like the recorder may not only expose what happened to Delilah, it may also force Chase to question people he never expected to suspect. Brooklyn, in my opinion, may be the emotional anchor of the story. I think she may be torn between fear and determination. I feel like part of her wants to protect the baby from any more trauma, but another part of her may know that silence is dangerous. From my perspective, Brooklyn might become the person who pushes Chase to look deeper, even when the truth becomes terrifying. Now, I want to talk about the darkest theory. I think Delilah's early labor may not have happened naturally. I could be wrong, but I feel like someone may have given her something to trigger the crisis. In my opinion, the idea that someone could have used miscarriage-inducing medication against her is horrifying, but it also fits the level of cruelty General Hospital sometimes attaches to hidden enemies. It seems to me that if Chase and Brooklyn had not found Delilah when they did, the baby may have been lost too. That raises the biggest question for me. Who would do something like that? I think Cullum is an option, and I understand why suspicion might land there. In my opinion, Cullum could have a connection to Delilah's past, or maybe he could be tied to the missing identity documents. I feel like he could be part of a larger secret, but from my perspective, Cullum almost feels like the obvious suspect, and sometimes the obvious suspect is only there to distract from the person standing in plain sight. That is why I keep looking at Ethan. I could be wrong, but I suspect Ethan more than Cullum. I feel like Ethan has been carrying a secret energy around him, the kind that makes me question every calm expression and every carefully chosen word. In my opinion, Ethan may have a hidden grudge, or Delilah may have known something about him that he could not risk exposing. It seems to me that if Delilah had evidence of something dirty from Ethan's past, then his motive becomes much stronger. From my perspective, Ethan may not have seen the baby as an immediate threat at first. I think he may have believed Delilah was the only person who could expose him. In my opinion, that could explain why the child survived without being targeted right away. I feel like Ethan may have assumed the baby knew nothing, meant nothing, and could not harm him. But I think that could change fast. If Chase finds the recorder and learns that Delilah left behind a message, I feel like Ethan's entire position could collapse. In my opinion, the recorder may include a voice, a name, a threat, or even a conversation that points directly toward the person who hurt her. I could be wrong, but I think Chase may realize that Delilah was not just a random woman caught in a tragic situation. She may have been running from someone. One possible scenario, in my opinion, is that Chase discovers Ethan's connection to Delilah first, but does not immediately have enough proof. I feel like this would create a tense cat and mouse phase, where Chase watches Ethan while Ethan realizes Chase is getting close. From my perspective, that is when the baby could become vulnerable. Another scenario I can imagine is the baby being kidnapped. I think that would be terrifying, but I feel like it would make sense if Ethan starts to panic. In my opinion, once he understands that the recorder exists, or that Chase has connected Delilah's death to him, Ethan may try to control the last remaining piece of Delilah's life. I could be wrong, but the baby may become the leverage, the threat, or the final loose end. A third possibility is that Ethan is not the only person involved. I feel like Delilah may have stumbled into something bigger than one man's secret. In my opinion, the missing papers, the recorder, and the mystery father could all connect to a wider cover-up. It seems to me that Ethan may be the face of the danger, but not necessarily the entire danger. Now, here's my controversial opinion. I think Delilah's death may be more important to Chase and Brooklyn's future than some fans expect. I feel like this baby could change their entire emotional direction. In my opinion, the search for the father may matter less than the bond forming in the present. I could be wrong, but I feel like Chase and Brooklyn may end up fighting not just for justice, but for the right to protect this child from everyone connected to Delilah's past. This is just my interpretation, but I think Delilah's story may be about how the truth refuses to stay buried. I feel like the recorder is a ghostly voice from the past, and in my opinion, Chase may be the one who finally listens closely enough to understand it. From my perspective, if Ethan is exposed, it may not only send him down legally or emotionally, it may also drag every hidden secret around him into the light. I think the most painful part is that Delilah may have tried to survive long enough to save her child. I feel like that possibility makes this mystery more than just a crime theory. In my opinion, it becomes a story about a mother's final attempt to protect her baby and about two people, Chase and Brooklyn, where I now have to finish what Delilah started. I could be wrong, but I feel like General Hospital may be setting up a heartbreaking reveal, a dangerous kidnapping twist, and maybe even a full takedown of Ethan if the recorder truly contains the kind of proof Chase needs. From my perspective, the big questions are these. Did Delilah know Ethan's secret? Did someone force her into early labor? And is her daughter now in danger because Chase is getting too close? I want to know how other viewers see it. In my opinion, Ethan feels more suspicious than Cullum, but I could be wrong. I think the recorder may change everything. I feel like Delilah's baby may be the center of the next major storm. This is just my interpretation, so I want to hear every theory in the comments.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.